Hey everyone, welcome to Moneytalk Chat. I'm your host, Teresa McGarry, and tonight we're talking about budgeting. This is normally about a 4+ hour class, and we're going to try and tackle things in about 10 or 15 minutes. So this is just part one, and we are just scratching the surface. We're going to start out talking about some myths tonight. The first myth is that a budget is only for people who are broke. The truth is, a budget is one of those main tools that rich people use to get rich. A budget is a plan that you create detailing what you want to accomplish with your money this month. It represents your goals, your values, and your priorities. Second myth, I can keep my budget in my head. The truth is, by writing down your budget, it helps you hold yourself accountable. If you keep the budget in your head, it's likely to change based on what you want to purchase at the time. Myth number 3, a budget is too restrictive. It makes me feel like I can't do anything. The truth is, a budget is your plan for how you want to spend your money. It's only as restrictive as you choose to make it. You control what is and is not in the spending plan. So in other words, if you want to have pizza every Friday night, that's okay. Don't lie to yourself, just put it in the budget. If you want to have fun, just put it in the budget. That's all that it takes. Myth number 4, I've tried to budget before, but I can't stick to it. It is too hard. I hear that one a lot. And they probably honestly tried and had a hard time sticking to it. And the truth is, there is a lot involved and a lot of tricks and tips and strategies into helping you stick to your budget. That's going to be a whole topic on it of itself. But I will give you our top tip. In order to stick to your budget, one of the main things you can do, one of the things that will help you the most, more than anything else, is you have to have something you want to accomplish with your money, or the budget is a waste of time. So let's get down to the basic parts of a budget. Very simply put, there are 2 high-level categories. There's the money coming in and the money going out. On the income side, what you want to put in there is how much money you realistically expect to be able to deposit this month. So this isn't your gross pay. This is your take home, the part that actually goes into your bank account. Because you can't budget how you want to spend all that money that was taken out for federal taxes and Social Security and health insurance premiums and stuff like that. It's just the amount that goes into your bank account. Now, if you are a salaried employee, your paycheck is going to be consistent, and that makes this income side and this whole budgeting process much easier. If you are an hourly employee, if you are paid on commission, if you are paid tips, if you are a part-time employee, it's going to vary on you, but hopefully there is some amount that you know, or you can be pretty confident that you're going to get however many hours and however much take-home pay on a weekly basis or 2-week basis, depending on how often you get paid. So only put in your budget what you would normally expect to be paid, or the minimum that you expect. We will have a whole different topic on what to do with when your income is inconsistent and you get paid more than expected or less than expected, and how to handle that and make sure that it gets used wisely and doesn't just disappear and then you wonder where it went. So on our expenses, the first category, and as a Christian nonprofit, our first category is going to be giving. So donation to your church. Biblically, it is 10% off the top, which is tithing. That is totally up to you, but as a Christian nonprofit, I'm putting that in there because I believe that that is what we are supposed to do. But it is up to you, no judgment here of whether you do it or not, or however the amount is. That is between you and whoever you call God. On our expenses, the next thing is your basic needs. Now, this is what you need to get through today. This is what you need to survive. These are the things that you have to have in order to just exist before you can even think about any of those other goals and things. Now, right now, I am not talking coronavirus economy. I am talking normally. Your housing, you got to have a place to live and sleep. Food, you got to have food to eat. You have to be able to keep the lights on and water and make gas if you have it, whatnot. Transportation, we have to be able to get to work and to school and the doctor's office and the grocery store. Transportation to other places are nice, but those first four there are kind of a priority. You need to be able to have your toiletries. You need to be able to get medications, both prescription medications as well as over the counter. And then basic clothing needs, like if I don't have any pairs of jeans that are appropriate to wear to work because of how they fit, or they're ripped, or they're stained, or bleached, or whatever, and I need to have something that's appropriate to be able to wear to work or school or wherever. That type of clothing needs would be what it's in there. Anything else falls in the wants category. Next are your legal obligations. These are any expenses that you are legally required to pay that does not fall into the basic needs. Top on the list is going to be your child support and alimony if it has not already come out of your paycheck. Minimum payments that you have on debts, any overdue bills, overdue taxes, court fees, anything that you are legally required to pay that is not a basic need or tied to a basic need. And last is your wants. So by definition, if it is not a basic need and it is not a legal obligation, by definition, it is a want. It is something that you are purchasing, you are spending money on because you want it. Now, some wants are more important than others. Some wants feel like a need, but it is truly a want. All right, couple of questions. One question that I get quite a bit is, what about my auto insurance or car payment? I have to have those to legally drive my car. But so that's transportation, but they're a legal obligation. Same thing about my house. What about my homeowner's insurance, my mortgage payment? Those are legal obligations. I need to have those to keep my home, but that's also housing. So what do? Well, your car and home insurance, the car or mortgage payment go in the basic needs categories because they're part of transportation and housing. More on that in just a moment. How do I decide what order to list my expenses? The answer is that the expenses in your budget need to be placed in priority order within those categories, within your giving, basic needs, legal obligations, and wants. Then you start from the top, giving, basic needs, legal obligations, and wants, and you start totaling up the amounts. When that amount gets to whatever your income is, the amount that's going into your bank account, when you've hit that amount, you're done. Everything below that is not getting paid this month, or you're not going to get to purchase this month. So when you're listing those, you need to list them in priority order, which ones are most important. So, especially right now, in my wants, internet access is going to be top on the list. Normally I'm explaining to the kids, you can go to the library, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever, sit outside, go inside, use their Wi-Fi when it comes to paying the rent, keeping the utilities on, buying groceries, or paying for internet. You can get internet somewhere else. Right now, with all the work from home, all those stay-at-home orders and whatnot, I'd be tempted to put it in the basic needs category, but it definitely would be very top of your wants list. So how do I teach my kids about budgeting? There are several things that you can do, but one real easy one, and the one that I do a lot at the schools, is we have a budget game where they have a chart, and I will show that to you here. They have a chart with all the different categories: their rent, their insurance, clothing, spending, groceries, restaurants, transportation. They don't have to put stuff in every single category if they don't want to. The basic needs they do. Then they have a candy paycheck. The picture I have here, Starbursts are worth 100, Tootsie Rolls are worth 50, and M&Ms or Skittles are worth 5. And this is their paycheck. They get $1,850 for the month. And I believe that's about $15 an hour working full-time. Minus taxes and whatnot. And I know that doesn't work out exactly like that, but it's close enough. And so the kids take the candy and they put it in each box, physically put it on the paper in each box based on how much they want to pay or what their choices are. So they could choose to have a 1-bedroom apartment or a 2-bedroom by themselves or a 2-bedroom with a roommate. They can choose to have renter's insurance, which I explained to them typically. Oh, this is old. Renter's insurance, if they're going to rent an apartment, a lot of apartment complexes now are requiring it, so it's not really an option. But health insurance, they might choose to have health insurance or not. They might choose to have pet insurance or not. So I try and let them have choices where they can. But everything, all that candy has got to be on the paper somewhere. Now, that being said, they can have candy in checking, emergency, savings, those categories as well. So after we go through and they've put all their candy on their paper, one thing we go do is we go through and we talk about bills and how bills are not the same as a need. The bill is something that you have signed a contract and agreed to pay. So Netflix is a bill. Netflix is not a need. As much time as we're all spending at home right now, maybe so, but technically it is not a need. Your rent or your mortgage payment is a bill, and it's also a need. So just because you've made a commitment to pay a certain bill does not mean that that bill is the same as a need. The kids tend to use those two terms interchangeably, and they're not. Groceries are a need, but it's not a bill. So anyway, we go through on a piece of paper and identify which of those things are a bill, and as they identify each one, so for example, their rent, they've identified that paying rent is a bill. So we're going to take that rent, take it off the piece of paper, symbolizing that that bill has been paid. And after we go through and we take all the different bills off, so like transportation, they'll take off their car payment, but they need to leave money in that box that goes for gas. Car doesn't do you a lot of good, can't put gas in it, right? And then we talk about how the money that's still on there is known as discretionary income. Some people call it disposable income. They call it spending money. Spending money to me is the little bit that you take out to have in your wallet to be able to just get that candy bar at the register if you want to or something, you know. And we talk about how that money right there is where they have the most flexibility to come in under budget, where they have the most flexibility, the most opportunity to kind of move things around as unexpected things come up. And then we have unexpected things come up. So we do some things that you would normally do with them. So like, okay, we got to go get a tank of gas. Well, I think I put on there $30 for a tank of gas. I know that's going to vary depending on tank size, price of gas at the time, how empty the tank is, all those kinds of things. But when it comes to doing a school project, I have to have one amount on there that everyone uses. It just makes things easier. I have a blank version of this too, where they get to create their own, what they think they're going to pay on rent from the places that they've looked at and whatnot. Okay, we're going to go to the grocery store. Well, if they have, I love it, the teenage boys seem to think they can put $50 on groceries for a month. We have to have a little talk about that. It's not going to happen. So however much they have on there, take like a fourth of it. So if they have like $200 on there for groceries for the month, then Now they have to do a little bit of math. A fourth of that would be $50. So they take $50 out and the other 150 stays in there for later. Make sure you have some emergencies come up, or maybe there's something on sale that you think they're just not going to resist, right? We have things like, okay, everybody in the room got sick. So who chose to buy health insurance? Yay, everybody raises their hands. Cool. $20 copay. So you have to find $20 on your plate somewhere of this disposable income that you can take off and use to pay that copay. Now you can take it out of savings, you can take it out of emergency fund, your checking account. But if you didn't leave any money in there, you're going to take it out somewhere else. For everybody that didn't raise your hand, $75. Or another favorite one is who chose to buy a car? Yay! Guess what? Everybody has a speeding ticket. $75. Figure out where it's going to come off. Use whatever dollar amounts you think are reasonable. But the point is to get them to understand that, hey, unexpected things come up, that they need to have a plan with what how they're going to spend their money, and you can't just go out and take a lot of the money and just go have fun with it and then think, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm going to spend on groceries and whatnot the rest of the month, and expect there to be no surprises, because that just doesn't happen. You get a lot of good responses from that. We can talk more about that later. So now that we have our coronavirus economy, I want to talk about how there's a few things that you might want to do just a little bit differently. But for the most part, your budget's not really going to change, because your basic needs are still your basic needs. You still need to have a place to live. You need to have food to eat. You need to be able to turn utilities on, those kinds of things. The gas that you have for your car, if you are working from home, maybe you're not going to spend near as much money on gas. Partially right now, the gas prices are really low, but I'm not going through a tank of gas a week anymore. I'm not sure I'm going to go through a tank of gas this month. So the gas usage in my budget for this month is going to be way less, because I'm not driving hardly. Internet access, that is something, especially if you're working from home or if you have students who are now homeschooling. The internet access, if that's something that you didn't previously have or was kind of like, you definitely are going to need to do that, because your ability to go hang out at McDonald's and Starbucks and the library and whatnot and use their free internet is not really available right now. Groceries, that is one of the biggest concerns and the biggest challenges I've heard people talk about, because their grocery bill really changes, and that's something that they've been really surprised about, which honestly, I hadn't thought about it either. But if you're used to having your kids or even yourself, like you drive through and pick up something on the way, or your kids eat breakfast at school, or you go out to lunch at work, and the kids are eating lunch at school, or however all of that goes, now they're eating all their meals at home. And what I've also heard people pointing out is, since they're home and they're not hanging out with their friends and doing all those kinds of things, they're bored, which means they're munching more, which means they're eating more. So your grocery bill, you need to plan on it going up, because everyone's eating more meals at home and there's just more of that going on. So those are some things that you need to think about that may be a little different while we're under this coronavirus economy stay-at-home orders. Contact us with any questions, concerns, or support that you may need. Service at moneytalkff.org or 913-538-1465. You can also find contact information on our website, www.moneytalkff.org. And stay tuned. Next Wednesday, we'll have another topic, and we will definitely be going into more of some of the different budgeting things. Also, we're going to talk about some different ways that you can just have some fun at home and like really be creative with your dinner plans and things like that. Get some really cool ideas. So hope to see you there. Hope you join us, and good luck. Let us know if we can help.